I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Playground Working Group of the Darien Parks and Recreation Commission. This is our regular meeting. It's 8:47 a.m. Thursday, May 11th, 2023. I'm going to move the approval of the minutes until we actually get a few more people online. Let's go right to the discussion on the playground design submitted for Cherry Lawn. We're doing this so that we can get the feedback from Curtis Butler. So he could talk to us a little bit about what he thinks about accessibility for all of these designs. Thanks, Curtis.
My pleasure. So it was a little bit difficult to see the designs from the second from O'Brien and Sons because they were more almost like architectural rather than the graphic CAD/CAM that we're used to seeing. But one thing I noticed, Pam, from your emails about seeing the difference between in the price between the option with the poured, surface versus just the mulch. And as we've discussed before, I mean, not just related to accessibility, but mulch on its own is pretty terrible, right? Because it doesn't react to weather well, right? It breaks down on an annual basis. You have to replace it. And as you know, we've discussed, it's such a soft surface. It's very difficult for wheels. So that's why at least if not a surface that accommodates that for the whole area, or at least enough hard surface pathways, and not just pathways, right? Because you don't want to have everything just you go here and you leave, and you want to be able to be around with the other kids. But so that's one thing that was a consideration. The other was even on, and maybe one of you can help me because I got a little confused looking at the even the ones by Creative Recreation. Let's see.
Let me see if I can pull it up while you're talking.
Okay.
Let's see.
So this is the one that's called Miracle, right? When you pull it up.
Right.
That was the. But it looks like there are multiple designs when you go across here, or is this? Am I seeing that incorrectly?
Can you see my screen now, or
No.
no? Okay. Huh. All right. That's why I'm going to say.
All right, I have to go on and off screen. I'm not alone in the apartment.
Sometimes it's always a challenge here. Let's see. Share. I think maybe you can see it in a couple seconds.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Great.
See it now.
Thank you.
And let's see. So to manipulate this, I got to move your screen over here. Here we go. So, yep, this is Creative Rec. And yeah, so it took me a little bit to digest this as well, because this is the toddler playground. And
Okay.
he kept in the two pieces, there's two smaller apparatus that we have now. Those are what we currently have. They don't look exactly the same, but they are. And then the blue surface is poured in place. So that's rubber. And the rest of it is manufactured wood chip. And I think most designers did this because of the cost and the limited amount of funds that we have. 500 seemed like a really good price 2 years ago, but it got smaller and smaller. So
that's manufactured wood chip. That's not natural wood chip.
Exactly, manufactured
wood
chip. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it does last a little longer. It doesn't apparently doesn't attach. It doesn't attract bugs and things like that.
Okay.
Yep. So that's
Pam.
Pam, is that what we're using right now for the wood chips? Excuse me, Susan. Are we using manufactured wood chips right now?
Yes, always have.
Okay, thank you.
Pam, Kathy's in the waiting room. If we could let her in.
Yeah. I gotta go back here. Let's see, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. I think I gotta get out of stopping the share. Oh wait, let's see. I'm trying to find where to let her in here. Admit all. Yep. Okay, Pam and Kathy are coming in. Good morning, Pam and Kathy. You're both on mute, so just letting you know.
Yes, and I may go off camera. I just finished working out, so.
I just wanted to let you guys know, we just jumped right into the agenda because we wanted to get Curtis's feedback because he has a hard stop at 9:30 and I have a hard stop at 9:45. So we're just going through the different designs in terms of accessibility, right, real quick with Curtis. Thank you.
That sounds great.
So just a couple of things I'm noticing in the two for the first one, the creative, right?
Right.
It's on the screen right now. In the two separate parts of the playground, the older kids and the younger kids. I like the inclusions of the swings, as I mentioned, and they're easily, I'm not sure where the gate's going to be, but they look easily accessible. As long as there's a way from this is fenced in, as long as there's an easy way from the gate to those accessible areas, then that's great. Again, if you're having to cross through the wood chips, then
So
to
Curtis,
get to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that path, it looks like light blue in contrast to dark blue. That's the original sidewalk that is there now. So when
Okay.
you enter the gate, there's a cement or concrete walkway that's there now, and so I could see how he was using that as to be accessible to the dark blue port and play areas.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I like
Curtis's
that.
only point is that it with the blue surface then should come out a little further. It should come in right to the fence because that pathway, Pam, I believe, the little cement thing really does kind of end at it's right over the hump at the gate. So just so if we do this, that it would extend a little further, the blue, right to the end of the pathway, right?
The way I see it is that he created an accessible pathway with the existing concrete walkway in order to get to both port and play areas.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
right.
that cement is inside the pathway though, inside the playground.
Sure it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It leads right up to the gazebo. So where he removed the gazebo, that concrete walkway, because I met the playground companies out there and we discussed like, what do you want to do with this concrete walkway? So I think your eye just doesn't go to it.
Okay. Yeah, and we're saying the same thing, so that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
And
But
go ahead, Curtis. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like it. I like the layout. I like the fact that there's, different places to go around for everybody, little kids to explore. I love the little kind of lean-to with the table under. That's very cool. That'll probably be an attraction. The one thing, again, these are just considerations. The way they have that spinner and your picture over to the upper right, now it's the middle left, the spinner with the blue top. That's those are like, it's funny, those are like molded seats. So that's not accessible. Right. Whereas the awesome one we looked at from McGuan where you just roll on, you can roll a chair on because it's flat.
Right.
But the one they have here is not. That's you have to take somebody out of a chair and sit them in there.
Might be able to talk to him about whether they have one similar. Well, yeah, they must because it's his design at McGuan. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
again, this is not me saying this is what anyone needs to do. I'm just making observations.
yes.
And I did like the fact if we go to the big kids playground, I'll just speak for my big kid. I do like the fact that they still have the swings there, because older kids don't want to be hanging out with the 2 to 5s. And if you have a 10-year-old like mine, absolutely love the swing. You want to be over with the older kids. So having those swing options on both sides, I think, is really key. The question would be the size of the just take an example, the Gen swing. Because they come in very different sizes, all the way up to adult, and you probably want to have very different sizes for those, or multiple sizes for those Gen swings in the different sides of the playground. Unrelated to the accessibility piece, moms of the little kids, because it's been a while for me, but those enclosed slides, do people like those? Or is that just where a kid gets stuck and you can't get him out?
I've never heard a complaint about them. I think it's,
Okay.
I think it's, I
Yeah,
think,
I think little kids love them. Like the like the grammar school kids love them. It's really fun for them. At least in my neighborhood. So I think that piece, but I agree from a parent standpoint when they're really small.
And we can get that
It's a
feedback from
problem.
Sarah and Alyssa as well.
Yeah.
And Pam's on, Pam Garrity's on, so her kids are a
Pam's
little,
raising her hand.
yeah.
I have a question about those enclosed swings, and my kids between 8 and 13 still enjoy those. So I think all children enjoy them. What is there a vandalism risk with those? Did you hear my question? I was wondering if there's a vandalism risk because it's like a enclosed area that, you know, bad behavior could take place in. Is that ever a risk, or is that not a consideration?
I'm not certain, are you talking about the toddler area because it's closed in, or?
No, the tube slides. Aren't you talking about tube slides?
Yeah,
Yes.
she's talking about, does it, if, you know, somebody we don't know comes to the playground, could they do anything
Is there ever a vandalism?
nefarious? We've never, not to our knowledge, I've never heard anything like that at all, but I don't know. That's a fair question.
Vandalism can happen anywhere,
Yeah.
anytime, but.
I think they're enclosed slides, guys, because of the height of that structure. It
Mhm.
cannot be
Mhm.
open, otherwise kids would be falling off the side and themselves. I think that's why we see them as enclosed slides here. If you look at it, it's almost, there's 3 levels on it. There's a bottom level, a mid level, and a top level. And in order to get to that height, if this was open, I think we'd have a lot
Yeah.
of injury potential here. And that's one consideration. The other consideration is that it may or may not help the heat situation. I'm thinking it would help because it's covered, but it's one of those things that I would like to think about before we jump into that.
Great point.
Curtis, I just wanted to ask you, looking at this, you know, the swings you mentioned, very, you know, you talked about the size of it, but like, let's walk you through like how, for the older section, how someone that needs accessibility, what can they do in this? Because you know, looking at the pour and play, it looks like there's a ramp on the right. If you can walk us through to see if it's really usable for accessibility.
I think we talked about this before, these kind of one-way ramps where, you know, a child can't really participate in what they're heading to, is just kind of a traffic jam, sometimes hard to turn them around. You know, because there's a ramp, people can check a box. I think we had this conversation last time.
Yeah.
But
did.
it doesn't, it doesn't really provide an accessibility option unless, you know, for example, under that roofed section there at the end of the ramp, there's sufficient space for a kid to hang out, a kid and a nanny or whatever, or parent to hang out. But I don't really see that there's going to be much for them to do except be in the way, and they're going to be bumped a million times.
I felt like it was a little bit more mindful this time though, because of the octagonal areas where you could turn around. And again, that's just my observation. I may not be correct here, but it seems as if, you know, where the last design, I could absolutely see it, hard stop, nothing to do. Here I see 2 areas that there's panels that they could stop and, you know, use, but.
Oh, I don't actually see, I can't see the detail well enough, but yeah, I mean, if people are comfortable with the space, of course, that's, again, I'm just presenting considerations. I'm not trying to put up any barriers.
Pam, Sarah's trying to get in. If you could let her in, please. She just called.
Got it.
Thank you.
Curtis, that's what I just had, that sense of deja vu when I looked at it. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to mention that as, you know, and that's one of the things, like, you know, we're going to try our best to see if we can put something else in there that's actually accessible. Because honestly, this structure is going to be pretty much a huge hit in the terms of the volume of kids that are there. And if you have that mad crush and kids maybe with accessibility issues with wheelchairs, yada, 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 it might be challenging, you know. So
Yeah, I can imagine, you know, the 8-year-olds chasing each other around and there's a wheelchair taking up 2/3 of the pathway. I can see that being an issue for all of them.
Right. I mean, the other suggestion might be to have another option of, activity too, that, to
A
think
single
about
unit,
another unit or
I
something.
agree. Yeah, that
So,
could be
I mean,
more
I love,
accessible.
I love the idea if someone could actually go and hang out in that, under that roof, in that middle section. I'm not sure how large it is, or how wide the pathway is, but just to be in the mix is already helpful, even if they can't participate in everything, just to be around the other kids like that. So if that's almost like a little gazebo, then that's certainly something that could potentially be cool. But what you don't want is to get them just up against this dead end.
Of getting crushed, coming. All the
Yeah,
kids
and
coming down.
not able to turn around easily, and But again, I don't have a great sense of the space.
Curtis, I want you to jump onto the other playground. I mean, this is great. I think we're kind of had a great direction,
Okay.
but I really want to get your input because it's 9:03. If we can get
Okay.
more of you for the other pieces would be helpful.
Yeah, sure.
Pam,
This
what do
was
you
the one
have?
that I found harder to.
Oh, yeah, I
get.
understand. There's actually, Pam, if you go down, I think there's also more pictures that have the structures, and they're just don't do that one. Go to one of the PDFs usually has stuff. Yeah. No, not that one. There was one that I looked at. I think one of the ones above that.
Above it?
Maybe, no, maybe not. Wait, yeah, no, that wasn't it. Jeez. I
Let's
did
see.
look at them. But you're right. That's the only challenge about looking at these. Oh, here it is. Here's one. This is a picture of all of them.
Oops.
I think this might be the little.
Yeah, let me see here. I'm trying to get all our faces out of the way so I could see it. Yes. So yeah, different design, O'Brien and Sons. Let's see if I can get another view. Hard to manipulate this stuff. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. So that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was harder to go through. I agree.
It feels like we're looking at photos from the Mars lander.
I know.
I'm
I'm not wild about this.
The surfacing, I think this must be all pour and play, I'm assuming, because they does show wood chips outside of it.
let's see if I can get another one. Excuse me. Let's see.
It feels a little bit less warm and fuzzy and kind of
Yeah.
more, right? Pointed.
Yes.
It's very modern.
Very,
It
very
looks like-
anti-feng shui.
Yeah, it doesn't look fun.
No, it looks very spiky and dangerous.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It just didn't look fun.
I think the climbing unit looks fun, like that in the corner there. It seems like that would hold a lot of kids, but certainly not accessible. Other than
What's that unit right in the center there with the death spikes on top? It's
I think that
crazy.
is the climb instructor that Pam just.
Yeah.
spikes.
I'm not jazzed about this one.
Okay.
Accessibility notwithstanding.
Pam. do
So
you
far, I
have-
haven't seen any accessibility on this one yet, but
No,
Yeah,
other-
I didn't either. So that's good that we're hitting
let's
that.
see.
Let's
and
go
I
back
got-
to the other ones. What is?
So that was O'Brien and Sons, and then we have, let's see, I had to save it here. This one is
The Burke. Yeah.
Burke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this
This is
was
interesting.
the,
And they sent a ton of information.
yeah, this is the 2 to 5 area. Oh, I gotta let Alyssa in. All right, she's in. So yeah, much less port and play here. So that would be interesting. So it looks to me like it's kind of a dead end, Curtis, right? So when you enter here and you go in, and what can you really do at that small playscape? You could roll up to it and that's about it.
yeah, that's right. You
Right.
can't do anything there.
No, And then you can get to the swing, and that's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Don't know if
Let's
I
go to the older one real quick. 'Cause this is pretty.
gotta try to find it here, so bear with me. If there's
Okay.
anybody who wants to comment while I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, should we just go through the minutes real quick, since I want to get that done and not lose time?
Sure, and I'll be trying to find this.
We skipped the approval of the minutes for April 27, 2023. Does anybody have any changes for those minutes? If anybody had to take a look of it? Patty? Patty's usually good for changes if there are any.
Yeah, but you know what? I was printing out the 23 pages of Burke and Child, so I didn't get to the minutes. I'd almost rather, I mean, if you went
Okay,
through.
we could push it to the next meeting too.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do that. We'll move the approval of the minutes to our next scheduled meeting.
great, thank you. Hey, one thing that, while she's pulling that up, I wanted to comment on where I might have not gotten the gist of what Pam was saying. I just realized when she jumped on that first one we looked at, and then we jumped from the 2 to 5 to the 5 to 12, I noticed there was a gray pathway. I was focused on the blue kind of for the port and play. The gray pathway is what I think she was talking about in terms of an entrance to the playground.
Yes.
I was looking at it from the other side where the comfort center is, where the bathrooms are. That's what I was talking about
Right.
an entrance. That's why I was saying from that end.
Okay.
Because that's something that we can just kind of do a little bit of a cement repave or something, get it in.
Okay, let's get some feedback, Curtis. This has been great. I mean, a great start. And if you have anything more specific, can you just send to the group? And maybe discuss at the next meeting that we have. We're at 9,
Sure.
almost 10, and I want to get feedback from some of our newcomers. Anybody want to jump in and let us know? Should we do it by, I guess, why don't we focus on John Hollenbach's creative? I mean, it seems like it has the most that we can kind of move forward with just from a personal point of view. So if anybody if people want to jump in and do some feedback on those structures that were, maybe we'll start with the 2 to 5, which Pam actually has conveniently pulled up. If any of us are the newcomers who would like to comment, Sarah or Alyssa or Pam.
Can you pull those back up again, Pam,
Yeah.
for Sarah?
Oh, you
Or-
don't have it? Oh, I thought I saw it. I'm looking at my own screen. Sorry about that.
I stopped sharing because I was trying to find Burke. So I can go back to,
Let's go back to creative, just because if
Okay.
I don't want you to spend the whole meeting looking for
Okay.
the plans if people can't see them anyway.
all right.
But if anybody has feedback for the creative one, that's on, it says Miracle on it.
I have a quick question about the pour and play surfaces. Are there options for colors of what
Yes.
that comes in? Or is
Yes,
it just like
tons.
blue?
Yeah.
Tons of colors.
And
Sky's
are
the
we
limit,
opting?
Pam.
Oh,
And
okay,
so
so,
don't worry about the pour and play. And also, when we did it for McGuan, we tried to choose something that wouldn't absorb heat. There's a lot of considerations and
okay, good.
look dirty. So that's the last part that the committee tends to focus on. Right now, it's just seeing like the accessibility piece, which Curtis just weighed in very well on, and just looking at fun things that we think the kids will actually enjoy. There you go. So if anybody, I guess we're at the 5 to 12. So whatever order we're in, let's
Yep.
just take that. Ladies, if you have any suggestions, especially we went through the accessibility piece with Curtis already, which was quite excellent. But what is your gut reaction looking at this? This is very different. It's a 3-story structure.
I'd say,
Who's that?
it's Pam Garrity.
Yeah.
My reaction is, and I can't zoom in at this moment to see, but how easy can kids climb on the outside of that tower and get to the top? Because you'd be amazed, kids are incredibly resourceful and do incredibly dangerous things. They go to the top of the one at Weed Beach.
I know. I built that and it really freaked me out the first time I saw it. It was the older kids that did it.
I mean,
and
it
you can't prevent it.
So that's my first reaction, is how accessible is it to get to the top of that 3-story tower?
If you look, the top part of that tower is completely enclosed. So I think there was probably a purpose there. that, you know, John did that, so you can't go all the way to the top, in theory, like in and out, let's say. But it is pretty high. We should get the measurement from him when we get a chance, Pam, the type, the
Yes.
total height,
I'm
overall
sure
height.
it's in the, you know, when they do the overlay,
Yeah.
like you're looking down on it. It's not a color one, it's, and all those measurements were in there, so.
Okay,
we'd
we'll
have to-
check the height of that then, when we get.
Yeah.
a
There's a
chance.
climbing ladder that goes up to the second section.
Mhm.
But I'm not clear, it's hard to see from these designs, how they get up there in the first place.
I agree.
So do they have to climb on this first small ladder somewhere, and then they climb up to the second, then they climb up to the third? So I hear what Pam's saying.
Mhm.
I think there's a
there-
ladder in the back that goes up.
Yeah, that's the one that only goes up to the second
Does
session.
it looks like it goes all the way to the top. Can you tell, Pam? Is there?
It was enclosed, see,
Yeah, it
right
looks-
there?
Yeah,
No,
it looks
right
like-
there in the back, if you see it.
The green one?
Yeah, the
Or
very
the-
back, there's like a couple of them. It's kind of, I could see something like an outline. It's not super clear, but I see something back there, I think.
I think it's like the one at your beach, Susan, where it goes straight up to the top.
Yeah, it goes straight
Yeah,
up.
she's right. Yeah, it goes straight up.
It's
So
just
one
hard to
kid at
see
a
because
time.
We're
Yeah.
on the wrong side of it, but there's one ladder in front of us that we see and one that goes towards the back. I think
Yeah.
that's in the back. That's also green, I think. I can't, my vision is.
It looks green. Yeah.
Um,
I think, has
Sarah, what do you
anybody
think of
ever,
these?
sorry about that.
Lisa or whoever.
Yeah, sorry, it's Alyssa. Sorry, I just unmuted from the car. I don't know if it would be good to have the question about how they climb. Three-story structure that they have at a park in Woodbridge called Pease Park, which I had looked up and I had looked at the provider for it, but it's a company that's primarily out west, so I'm not sure why they used them. But I have to say, having a structure like that at Pease Park, the kids be able to access the outside. So I can get some photos of that once you can see. And it's real, I mean, the kids really, really love it. And the way that it's
Lost you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Alyssa.
That the smaller kids
Alyssa,
can
we
kind
can't
of
hear
get to the
anything you're
second
saying.
level, but the way the climbing is for the third, usually the really little ones just can't quite get up there. And it's a similar, oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, better now. Sorry, before we didn't hear anything you said in the last, whatever, 5 to 6 sentences.
Sorry. I think I may have to send you a note out. I'll just listen in and sorry. I'm on the parkway, so I'm out, then I can just send some notes afterwards. But
Yeah,
what I was
feel
just
free to
saying
do
was
that.
about this, the three. That might be easier. I'll listen in and then all my comments, I'll just send in a note to everyone afterwards.
Okay.
So I'm not,
And you
so
can-
it's not so frustrating.
And you can also watch the video and, you know, see if it's already been duplicated, so you don't have to.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Okay.
Thank you, Alyssa. Sarah, sorry, we're gonna jump on. with
Oh,
you.
it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I only did see the two. I, for some reason, missed the third one that we didn't really look at yet. So I apologize. I only saw the first two
Okay. it's okay.
options. So of the two, I absolutely agree with everyone. After seeing this one that we're currently looking at, and then looking at we'll call it the spiky one. I don't know, it's just because the renderings just weren't as inviting, but I did not like that one at all, other than the one that Pamela was talking about with the I think you were talking about the ropey area, Pamela, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that looked really cool. Since we have the spinny thing in this in the 5 to 12, whatever, they have a rope thing, right? But I think that's in place of our globe, right?
Right. No, it's not.
Right.
Actually, it's just supposed to be our globe.
It's supposed to be our globe. I had
Yeah.
a feeling. And so that's the one thing I know we keep trying to find a place for a rope area. That's the one thing that I thought was kind of missing. I think the little kids area, I thought it looked awesome. The only thing that I noticed that's missing is shade for the adults, because this area has no shade. So that was like the first thing I think I noticed. I know we have a lot of great benches there, which are great for sitting, but that's the only thing that I think is missing is just a place for shade and the benches. I don't see the picnic benches that everyone really likes to use. But I thought it looked great. I liked it a lot.
I
So
think that's a very good comment. And I do think that in the future, I think there's some ways we might be able to create some shade, like a shade structure that has the posts on the outside of the
that's what
fence
I've seen.
that
Yes.
leans over on top of the playground. That might be something we could.
Yeah,
look at
just
first.
something. Yeah. Because that area is so hot.
I agree with
So,
Sarah
yeah.
100%. That's a problem at almost every playground, that the adults, first of all, there's just blasting sun, there's no shade, and the adults have nowhere to sit.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's either that or the area when you're exiting to go to the big kid area. I think there's 2 benches right there. And then I think there's some to the left, a little further out, which are great. That's by far the best shaded spot. So even if maybe we, clumped a lot, but, like set it up so that we could fit a bunch more, parents, I think for the most part, feel pretty comfortable being there and being able to see the kids from both sides. And let's face it, that one gate is constantly open, which it's not like it leads to the parking lot. So I don't think it's the end of the world. The kids are just constantly coming back and forth. So the gate gets a lot of activity. So if you have places to sit there, I think that kind of leans more of a, oh, my kid can be here, my other kid can be here, and I can park myself here with my stuff. So if we didn't want to take up space on the playground area, I think that would be something to consider. Yeah, I think this looks awesome. I compared to the other one, this one I felt like hit
What do you
all
think
the
about
right
the
notes.
enclosed slide, Sarah? Are you yay or nay on that?
Oh, I guess we don't have any anywhere, do we? We
It's
don't
very
have
new,
one.
and the height of it is interesting too. It's almost like, I felt like when I saw this, I felt like we were at an amusement park versus
Yep.
a playground.
Yeah, or like a water slide park.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times that's what they like to do. I don't know. I don't have a very adventurous older child, so I don't know. I guess, and they're both enclosed, aren't they? Yeah, I don't know. It looks fun to me, but and I think kids get used to anything and then they learn to love it. What I don't see is the bumpy slide. So I know the only one that we would have would be at the beach playground.
And we copied that from Cherry Lawn.
Oh, did you?
It
Okay.
was literally
Yeah.
the most popular thing they told us at
It
the park
is.
at the time.
The
when we were
kids
doing
love it.
playgrounds.
The bumpy
So
slide.
we replicated it.
And the bumpy slide at Weed Beach gets the sand in it. And so it actually doesn't, at least I haven't been there in forever. But the sand doesn't allow it to be a bumpy slide. It hasn't, at least the last time I was there, it doesn't roll. So I think the one at Cherry
you think
Lawn,
we should look at a roller slide maybe?
maybe. I just know how popular it is, especially again, not that we're trying to accommodate the little people because they have their own area. But we all know little kids follow the older kids, and it's like the safest spot for them to be on that playground, and they love it. They can climb up it, they go down, and I watch all the little kids. They just love going on that slide versus the taller ones.
So could they do that blue one that we just saw? Pam just jumped to the other image, but the faraway image, that one on the one to the left, could that be then converted to a bumpy slide? The other ones are the circular ones, but have
too high. It's too high, I think.
It's too high.
We can ask for maybe a
Yeah.
change.
That's fine.
The one at Cherry Lawn is actually pretty high, I think, higher than people think. That's why you're able to get that rush down.
I mean, I'm 5'2" and I can reach the top if I had to keep my kids safe going down. And I'm not very tall. So that one's definitely, I couldn't hold a kid and make sure they don't fall off. So
and at Cherry Lawn, we have 2 slides that are parallel. They're right next to each other. That are the low ones. The kids do love going down next to each other. I see that all the time. So maybe that's something we think about as an alternative to that blue slide that's higher, and maybe it can be entered in at a lower section. Otherwise, I don't know if parents are going to be so worried like they've lost their lower slide, because I guess there's slides on the little 2 to 5 one, but I see a lot of little kids on that big kid playground.
They are. Yeah. They love it.
Okay. Well, why don't we work with the slides? It sounds like that's TBD'd with the roller slide and a side-by-side slide to be discussed. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Math Park in Norwalk has a really long roller slide, and we might swing by there soon. So maybe I'll take some pictures of it. I believe they have a roller slide that is way longer than the one currently at Cherry Lawn.
Okay, well, if you don't mind doing that, and if anybody has seen the enclosed higher slide, the closed slide, I'd love to see kids use that, see what they thought of that. I think that would be one of the things that it's so new to Darien, and it seems like we have two, so it feels like we're doubling down. So let's think about that. Pam, you've had your hand raised patiently for so long. Why don't you jump in?
Yeah, I just have two comments, especially on this one here. While I was at the park with the vendors, the brick walkway from the parking lot trying to get to this older one, that's something that we can probably work on as a project to extend to get to this. Like if we were to use this particular design, then the brick walkway could go right up to the pour play. Right now, we would need to work on that. And second comment is that just to recognize that John again took off $40,000 off of this. That was interesting.
We love John.
That's a big, and the thing, I think that the difference between John and some of the other representatives is like, I love Mike from Game Time too, but he's not the president, he's a representative. John is the president of his own company. So I think that's where he's able to give these deep discounts.
Who did the kiddie area in the new one? What's the name? Was that Game Time? The structures we're keeping in the kiddie area?
Yes, Game Time. These two right here, if you can see my.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to figure out in terms of, since, not that they need to be matchy, but just that's another colors, type of material. And there's no reason if we decided to, we could, like, if we wanted to split, we don't have to use one vendor. Just if we end up liking, somebody comes up with a design that we like better on the kiddies versus, I don't think we're limited by that, right, Pam?
No.
So.
Oh, you mean like a different
Like
person?
different
2 to
vendor for
5
5
and
to
a
12 or
different-
2 to 5, we don't have to use the same vendor.
I don't think we get the greatest discount though,
Yeah.
if we use.
What are the-
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, if something came up and we decided we liked one design from one vendor better than the other one, I don't think we're affected by that. I mean, to a degree, I get it. It would be not as, the economies of scale wouldn't be there to save more money, but it's important just to have everything out there. Who else are we waiting for? Game Time, you said?
Game Time is the final one. Ultiplay dropped out
Multiplay.
due to timing.
And
So
we
the
should
question-
go at another meeting through Burke, Sarah, because they
Yeah.
spent 23 pages, like they
Yeah.
spent a lot of
Let's-
time on it.
I think this is not the final meeting on this by any stretch of the
Oh, no.
imagination.
Yeah.
We need, this is just
Just the beginning.
we just wanted to get a sense of like the direction everybody was headed, and understand, what's out there. I mean, because right now we don't know, and what our money could buy. And it seems so far, we got a couple of good solid designs with some pour and play options that I think will make Cherry Lawn a lot more accessible than it currently is. Right now, I believe it's not at all. I mean, Curtis can correct me, but this is a huge step towards that. And I'm glad. I mean, we don't have to make it entirely accessible, but if we can do what we can, it's great for kids of all ages and different abilities. Let's move on to the other part of the agenda, because there's 2 other items, and I think you need a decision on at least one of them, Pam, or something. So why don't we look at these, digest a little more? We could talk about it in the next meeting. You could email, whatever's easy. But thank you so much for all your input for this part of the meeting. Really appreciate it. Let's go to the other item on the agenda, which is the update on the temporary signage for the new playground at McGuan. What do you need from us for that, Pam?
I think I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that I do need to jump on that pretty quickly to get it made. But I just want to put something together that shows the upcoming playground design that people will see, or they get excited that it's coming. And just to forewarn people that in June, at some point, it's going to be closed, or a matter of, 4 weeks.
I think Pam, definitely jump on getting that printed out. We talked about doing the actual design, like having that picture up. We talked about doing a party, so we could say, look for information on our opening day party or something, let's have some of that verbiage in too. And if they have any concerns, to reach out to your office. But that we anticipate it being closed for about a month and a half, 2 months. What were we saying, Pam?
I think 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Okay, let's say
Yeah.
it's better to overestimate and deliver much faster.
They were pretty specific, though.
What?
That was I was very impressed with the very specific
Well, I
timeline.
would give us another week leeway on it, because who knows, supply chain, with our luck, people sick, who knows? I just don't want to be like, it's going to open on June 15th, and we're like, oh, we're not opening on June 15th,
Or you're just saying don't include a date. Yeah. Does
Or
anyone
just say, we anticipate it being, X week, I mean, like it being opening mid July. I'm just making that up. I'm not sure what the date is, but just have like a ballpark in July, we could say. I don't know. Something that kind of indicates like the future.
How about just soon? And not having, so what if we put it up? Pam, does it make sense to put it up once the construction kind of begins, once we start to clear it out? And then you put up a sign kind of on the perimeter thing, right? And so then you can say soon, and then we can put a sticky on it later on that says, in 2 weeks or something like that.
I think
I don't want
would-
people to
I
fear
would
that
think
it's going to be closed
ahead of
all
time.
summer.
I think we want to give people a heads up. I think everyone's going to say the same thing I am. So they know that it's going to close, so they don't show up one day with all their kids.
Yes, I agree, Kathy.
Okay,
Let's
yeah.
say 2 weeks before, if we can.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Notice. Thank you, Kathy. That's great. Okay, so Pam, I can work with
And
you to do.
Yeah, and then Pam, once it's down, can you put something on your social media channels too? So people can kind of know that we're making changes and maybe do some publicity around it about we're improving it and things like that. Is that
Pam
something you guys?
Garrity, can you help us with that, Pam?
I was just
Garrity?
gonna say, Pam, get on it, girl. Come on.
Pam's great at it. Yay. Let's do that. Great suggestion, Kathy, again. So Pam, you and I can work on the nitty gritty, and if anybody else wants to jump in, we could send out what comes, what our final thoughts are. On
And
what the
Susan
sign-
also in Monica's newsletter that she does.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
obviously. Yes, she does a terrific newsletter every week, it seems now. Okay, the next item is.
I'm just gonna hop everybody. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank you
yeah,
so
thank you,
much.
Curtis. You were
Great input,
terrific
Curtis.
again.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Talk to you
Till
soon.
next time. Bye.
Okay. Let's go to the next item, which is the discussion on potential donation from the Lions Club and the Calvi family for the McGuan Playground. You wanna walk us through that, Pam?
Yeah, so just to go back a little bit, I did meet with them in December when I was very excited about that one particular piece of equipment that I thought was, just exciting. It was $18,000. I shared it with them, but the concern and the red flag really turned out to be that there's no piece of equipment like that in the Northeast. So I kind of dropped that off my priority list. But the Lions Club has shared that they're very interested in staying involved with this playground. As you may or may not know, their name is associated with that playground, the Lions Club and Calvi family. I don't know how much they donated at that time to have their sign there, but they have indicated, the Lions Club anyway, that they want their name to stay there. So, and I did tell him that, well, we need to come up with something that keeps your name there, so I've been working on some ideas, and one of the idea I think that would be really great, and we'll see what everybody here thinks, is to propose a fence around the playground at McGuan. So right now we have no fencing, so the toddlers can run right into the parking lot. That may be a proposal. Fencing can be very expensive. Maybe it could be something even like Cherry Lawn's fence is beautiful and well made, and I'm sure quite expensive. But I could see that there could be a nice sign on that fence if there was a donation as large as that. That's one idea. Another one was perhaps some sort of shade structure that goes over the picnic table area and that corner. that could also be a lovely idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Both
I
are
like
great
the
ideas.
shade structure, Pam. When I talked to Pam about this offline, the only concern I have is that this playground is being funded by ARPA money. So I don't want it, I know that they had supported the past playground. I just want to make sure that whatever whatever acknowledgement we give them is appropriate to the level of donation for this new playground, and that this is tax money, this is ARPA. So this is government money. So I don't want it to become another named park for, something that
That's why something
being
in
primarily
particular,
funded by them. So if we did some kind of shade structure, I wouldn't mind putting something like close to that structure and say shade generously provide, like something that's not shade, but like this, something that would be appropriate to what they've donated to this playground.
Mhm.
This,
Pam,
the
what do you think
money is
about
from
the-
ARPA at this point, so.
I agree, Susan. What do you think about the area, if you're facing, where you pull up to if you're in a car and you parked and you're walking up? I thank you for all of your picnic tables all around. They're amazing in every park. I mean, it's so impressive. There's 4 that you have there now. I mean, all the nannies and moms are so happy. And so they're right when you kind of come up by the parking lot, and then you have a bench over to the side. Might consider a shade structure even over to the right, past the swing set, because that's kind of a area where we weren't sure if we could expand there, but we could probably do a shade structure there. And then I hear your point, Susan, that's kind of a separate thing. So I think both the fence idea or the shade structure makes sense and keeps it separate from the ARPA playground.
You might, or we could name it the picnic area after them. Like, this is the, Lions Club, Calvé picnic area, and have all the tables there with the shade structure, whatever it might be.
Love it.
Something to
Love
think
it.
about.
Can you
And then
tell
that
me-
way it's like pulled out of the playground a little bit more, and we
Yeah.
don't have to worry about conflicting with what the donor's intent on that was.
And naming. Pam,
Yeah.
can you just tell us, so the Calvi family and the VFW, is that considered kind of 2 different gifts that they gave to the town at one point? Like, how is that connected? Do you know?
All I know is that the sign says Lions Club and Calvi family. And then when I met with the Lions Club, they when they're suggesting and proposing they want to stay involved with this playground, when an idea comes that they're excited about and they want to join in, they are then going to talk with the Calvi family about both donating toward whatever we come up with. So
Okay.
I really don't know the original.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's just that it's hard when the playgrounds run its useful life, and, in terms of getting new funders, how do you reconcile the old with the new?
Mhm.
And it's challenging. But at the same time, this playground's getting kind of brought to the ground and restarting. It's not like Cherry Lawn where we're keeping some of the pieces. This is brand new, being redone with new poured in play. It's reconstructed, brand new. So that's why my concern is about putting a name that, for that piece of it. So, but that's my thought on that.
So is everybody here, like, if I were to propose those 2 things, because even the fencing, it could say fencing provided by, not playground provided by,
Mhm.
fencing provided by Lions Club and Calvi family, or the shaded area. But because I do kind of want to at least keep the organization involved.
Oh, yeah.
So
The only thing about the fencing, Pam, is for that area, you have fencing on the playground, on the baseball fields, you have fencing everywhere. I just feel like there's a lot of fencing there. And what we had talked about was putting bushes or landscaping between the parking lot to stop like something that kind of is like a natural border versus something that's a fence, So that was what we had talked about. And it's not the biggest playground, so it looked kind of like, I don't know, visually would be challenging.
Yeah, I
Sarah,
think
can
if you
you say
did the
about-
fence from like just that one side where the cars park, right? I mean, whatever type of fence you want to do. I mean, there's obviously so many different types, whatever's also maybe the most low maintenance, which tends to kind of almost be like a deer fence tends to be. But then if you put bushes in
Mhm.
front, right, you get kind of this nice visual, but then there's a safety. I think the only thing that people would have to maybe weigh in on would be, do you have just a natural opening where this, is there a sidewalk there? Is there any pathway when you come up from
Yes.
the parking? Is there?
Yes.
Okay, is it like a concrete sidewalk? Is that what it is?
Yes.
But if that was the natural opening, do you do the gate, or is it like, okay, there's just this one little opening? I don't know. I mean,
Well,
again,
that's how they're, so if you look at Baker Park,
yeah,
and when a fence was put up there, first by like an Eagle Scout, and then later maybe by the town, I'm not sure, and extended
Yeah.
one higher up because of the rock. That's what they did. They didn't do a whole enclosure
whole
around.
thing.
It was
Yeah,
kind of
I
a
just, I agree
barrier
with
so
Susan.
it wouldn't fall off.
I like
Yeah.
that it feels, because it is such a small park. And I think when we had that one meeting there forever ago, and it was starting to become a nice day, and the nannies were sitting under the little trees with the, there was shade because it was a hot day, I think, or it was starting to get hot. But if you fence it off, it's kind of like, where does the fence go, right? Are you doing it at the playground? Are you doing it behind the tree? Like, where, I just feel like it allows the playground to feel so much larger by having the grass and the trees, and it's all
Agreed.
part of it. But I do like Pamela's idea. There is something about that fence along that road. I think it just also looks nicer. It looks a little more finished, like curtains on a window, like it just
Yeah.
feels finished. And yeah, more bushes are always nice, right?
I
It's
think-
just, who wants to look at cars? I mean,
That's true.
yeah.
I think we should go and look at it, Pam. I mean, if there's a couple of people that want to go, I think we need to maybe consider it, do what Sarah just suggested, and maybe the picnic area. Let's delineate it better. I think right now we're talking in very abstract terms, and I don't want to overpromise them for something that we may or may not really want to do, especially with respect to an enclosed fence, for sure. And that enclosed fence would probably cost them $50,000 to $100,000, depending on what kind of material they're using. So I think that's a lot of money to do something that we're not necessarily need fully.
And I
And if
get
we're
your
gonna do
point,
that,
Susan,
yeah.
about you have the fence from the 2 baseball fields already there. I mean, that started to happen at Cherry Lawn when we started to fence everything, and people said, oh, what happened to all the beautiful open space on the left side of Cherry Lawn? So,
Right.
but I do think maybe some kind of, I get what Sarah was saying, was like almost a split rail, just
Yeah.
shorter fence in the front. We could do some really nice bushes and some flowers and landscaping, so people could still walk in up the path on the left or on the grass on the right.
Yeah.
And that could just be maybe the Calvies. Well, no, I think you want to try and do one sign. I was going to say, and maybe the sun structure is there, or maybe it's someplace else.
That's why I think we need to go and look at
Yep.
it and get a better feel for it, because right now it's been a while. It's since we've all gone there, and
Yeah.
this is a very new idea for us.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to go next week with anybody that's interested. Oh, no
And
problem.
Pam, would we have to check with planning and zoning on something like that, not on fencing? Okay.
No. And their next meeting is June 6th. So I think it's a great idea to meet out there next week. In a perfect world, it would be nice to give them some sort of idea. I do have a seasonal young man working in my office who's been getting pricing for sunshades and fencing.
Oh,
and
great.
all that.
Oh, nice.
So our next meeting is June 6th.
No, the Lions
P&Z.
Club.
Oh,
Okay.
their meeting's June. Oh, sorry. So let's plan on, we could put something online about just going there and looking at it. It doesn't have to be a long thing. It's just 15 minutes, but I just feel like we should get a better grasp before we talk to the funders about something potential there. I don't feel comfortable doing that, now.
Okay, that's a
But I
great
think
idea.
there's going to be a lot of ideas. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It's just a matter of making sure that we're fine with whatever we're asking for. We're almost getting to the end. Is there any final comments or thoughts that people would like to put out there? Pam, I really do appreciate that you got all of these proposals and ideas to us, because I think it is a great start, because
Mhm.
we kind of don't know what we need until we see what's out there. And, there are a lot of great ideas. Maybe we can, if we can get a better rendering from some of these, you saw the concern about Emmy O'Brien, it's just it makes it just harder to see.
I
What
agree.
the intent is. It looks very like people are afraid of it. It's spiky. the angles were really threatening to people. So maybe seeing if he has like pictures of it installed somewhere, that might help people understand how it really looks in real life versus the renderings.
Mhm.
And
There's a
go ahead.
There's a
Okay.
playground in Easton that has those big spiky sails. And I agree that the drawings are just very unappealing, but the sails provide shade and we're always
Right.
looking for shade. And so I don't think that should be an immediate turn off, but if he could come up with a better rendering, that would be, I don't know, helpful.
I think
Yeah.
Curtis meant the spikes on the corner unit, not the sails.
He did say this, people didn't find it very welcoming and they didn't enjoy looking at it. So I
Well,
just
and
think
plus it was aerial view. It just wasn't an appealing picture from the aerial view. It wasn't a ground view or anything. It was just an awkward picture, but those sails are a nice feature.
I agree, Pam. I think we
don't know.
should discount it entirely. That's why I'm saying we should take the time for Pam to come back with maybe better renderings and, so that we can see if there's something we're missing, If that makes sense to everybody. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I have a hard stop at 9:45. It's 9:43. But we have another meeting in 2 weeks, Pam?
Yeah, I'm not certain what that date is. I don't have it in front of me. And then
In
does
2
anybody
weeks, it's the 25th, which is right before Memorial Day. So just, right, is that it?
I
Does that
don't,
sound right?
Yes, it's the 25th. Yes.
and I'm away.
Oh, so you can't do the meeting on the 25th?
I'm away May 20th through the 27th.
Okay. So let's offline try to figure out when the next meeting is, because it sounds like it's not going to be the 25th. So if we need to do a special meeting, if we have that other drawing and we'll have more to talk about, maybe we can move it to June 1st and kind of have back to back. But if not, we could cancel the 25th meeting and just keep the other one.
Yeah, and try and do it before Pam's June 6th meeting, when the Lions Club.
Yeah,
just
that
get
would
that
really
done.
help, I guess. But
Yeah.
we're hoping to get together next week to talk about the options too.
I'll
So
send
we
an
should-
email to everybody and we'll figure out
Okay, so
a time
yeah,
next week.
one is to do the meet at McGuan for the Lions Club idea. And the second is when our next meeting should be. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your time.
Great meeting.
We
Thank
really
you. Have a great day,
appreciate
guys.
everything you guys are doing. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.